We're here today with Reverend Brittini L. Palmer. Brittany's the author of a new book titled Small Group Workbook, The Bible in 52 Weeks for Women, from Rockridge Press. Brittany is a freedom writer, preacher, and communications consultant. She's an alum of Virginia Union University and McAfee School of Theology and has completed several fellowships. She's worked with women and children experiencing homelessness and poverty in the metro Atlanta area and serves as the communication coordinator of Rise Together Mentorship Network, an initiative of Union Theological Seminary that connects women of color ministry leaders to experienced women ministers, senior pastors, faculty, and community leaders. She's written for various outlets, including Sojourners, Wear Your Voice Mag, Red Letter Christians, and Penn Live. Brittany believes to remain silent on issues that disrupt the harmony created by God is not an option and will continue to use her voice and witness to encourage those who feel their dignity has been snatched to understand why they too matter. Brittany leads Black Women Write for Freedom, a space for Black women who are writing about experiences that enlighten and interrogate the world about Black life. You can learn more about Brittany at BrittiniLPalmer.com. That's BrittiniLPalmer.com. And you can follow her across social media at Brittany L. Palmer. So Brittany, it's so wonderful to have you here with us. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, as I mentioned before we got started, I'm always thrilled when one of our conference alumni has a new book coming out. And, in your case, it's your first book. So I'm just so thrilled that you've been able to make such progress and accomplish that.
Yeah, it's so exciting. My first, and hopefully many more.
Yes, absolutely. So before we get into the book, though, please tell folks more about your background than what I just briefly touched on.
Yeah, so I am originally from Pennsylvania, a small town in Pennsylvania, Stilton, Pennsylvania, right outside of Harrisburg, if anyone is aware. I went to school at Virginia Union, as stated, but growing up, especially in high school, I loved to write. I love to write, and I always was writing, even when I graduated school. I have my undergrad in mass communications and journalism. So my family, my father and my mother can probably tell you I've been writing for a long time. I just never really consider it as a career, right? But after school, I kind of went away from it. Richmond, Virginia, I lived there for a couple years. That's where I was ordained as a minister as well at 6 Mile Zion Baptist Church. Then I went to Atlanta for grad school. So even through all those years, I was always writing. So I love telling stories. I am also a preacher. So storytelling, writing, and then also with my words. So.
That's wonderful. You've got a great, rich background, and congratulations on all those accomplishments too.
Thank you.
But getting to the book. So as I mentioned, the title is Small Group Workbook, The Bible in 52 Weeks for Women. Can you tell us how the book came about?
So actually, I was contacted by this publisher, and first of its kind in this way for me. So did some research, reached out to some of my mentors, and then we had a couple of meetings. So this workbook actually comes out of a devotional from this publisher. The workbook that I've written could also be read standalone, but it's for groups of women. So just spoke to the publisher. They gave me direction. And I was able to bring my imagination and some things that I've learned and my experience to the table. And now we're here.
Wow. Well, good for you. I mean, it's a relatively unique situation that a publisher contacts you, right, to, write a book. So I was going to ask you how the book deal came about, but,
Yeah.
that's exciting to know. I mean, do you know a little bit more about Rockridge? I'm not familiar with them.
They're new. They're pretty new to the industry, I believe, and they have a different model than the traditional publishers from what was explained to me. So a lot of their books come from data, right? So it's data driven. And then they see what the market people are looking for, and then they create it and they reach out to people who have some expertise in the area. And then that's how they create most of their books from what I know, but then other ways, right? The traditional ways as well. So that's a very new format that I wasn't pretty much aware of, but it's smart and it gives people opportunity. So yeah.
Yeah, another one of my author friends had a similar situation. I think maybe was contacted by that same press because they described it the exact same way that you do. That it's a
Mm-hmm.
company that does a lot of data research about what is attractive, what they
Mm-hmm.
believe is going to be attractive in the book market, and they reach out to a specific person to write it. So that's wonderful that they found you.
I know.
So obviously the book is organized into 52 weeks. What's typically included for each week?
So there is a personal excerpt from me. So commentary from me, coming from personal experience, research, however I entered into that week. So you have commentary, you have questions, you have group questions, and then you also have an activity, a group activity. All of the commentary or the end of each week also ends with like a short prayer as well. So very encouraging format, but each week you have an activity, questions, and the commentary.
Cool, very cool. I'd like to read an endorsement by Reverend Dwylene Butler. She says, every time I need to choose a Bible study curriculum for our women's church school class, I get frustrated. Most of what's available is written by or for women for whom I have nothing in common. I'm so excited to have access to a year-long study that will allow us not only to read God's Word, but also challenges us with thought-provoking questions throughout. If you're looking to cut down your Bible study prep time, I highly recommend Small Group Workbook, The Bible in 52 Weeks for Women. So that's a wonderful, piece of feedback. What
Yes.
are some of the thought-provoking questions that you offer in the book?
So many, I believe. I think when I was writing it, I wanted to make sure that the questions dug a little bit deeper than where we typically go, and really speak to our experiences. So earlier on the workbook, there's questions geared towards Genesis. So each week you read certain books of the Bible. And women, especially Black women, and from my own personal experiences, have trouble with self-care many times, because we work a lot. Many times we have to work a lot, and other times we do what we see, and what we've been taught. So I'm asking questions about self-care. I'm asking questions that make us dig a little deeper about our own behavior, because sometimes we put ourselves in situations that we don't belong in. So let's see. So this is a group discussion question. Since we are all a part of God's creation, God declares we are good and worthy. How do you honor this by taking care of yourself?
Good, good.
And also because it's a group workbook, right? And you're traveling with different women. Another question is, how have you ever been mistreated by another woman? What did God reveal to you to help you move forward?
Hmm, hmm.
And if you read the Bible, there are issues with women, right? And a lot of times it's because of the world that they lived in.
Mm-hmm.
So just thinking about those different dynamics and the things that we go through, and a lot of times it's because of social standards and
Mm-hmm.
what the world says we should be and how we should behave.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So if there was one thing you wanted people to take away from the book, what would you say that would be?
I would definitely say that I hope that they walk away knowing that it's okay to question what you read. It's okay to question ideas that you read, even in the Bible, and walk away knowing it's okay to read the Bible and another book alongside the Bible to create some type of sense out of your situation.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're all in different situations for very different reasons. In some situations we never asked to be in the first place. So I'm hoping that after reading this, there is a sense of freedom, to know that it's okay to question and to get to new places.
Cool. Well, that's valuable for us all. No question about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mentioned in the introduction the organization that you lead called Black Women Write for Freedom. Can you tell
Mhm.
us a little bit about that group?
Yes. So this is a dream of mine that I haven't officially even put it out into the world yet,
Well,
but
it's on your website.
it is. I didn't put it out there just yet, but it's there, and it's in the world. And it's been something that I have been birthing for a while. And I've always looked for spaces where I could find some support in writing. Um, because it's interesting to put your work out there and for people to criticize it, and then you're not really confident in what you're writing or your abilities. And I always look for a community like that, right? Especially for women in which I can connect to and with. So that's where this space came out of searching for a community like that. And it's a community not just for reporters, right, or preachers, or script writers, but Black women in so many different areas of writing, whatever that looks like for you, that are writing so we can get to a more freer place, a liberatory place in life. And that shows up so differently. So that's what the space is about. And we have a few women traveling with us right now. And it is rewarding and exciting. And I'm just excited about this to see what God is going to do. So,
Good. Well, I'm really glad for that because, as you said, I mean, I've repeatedly found everyone who's a writer talks about the value in having other writers, that they can collaborate with, they can talk with, they can review each other's work, et cetera, et cetera. So, glad to hear. And it's not easy to find, right, for a lot of folks, at least with Zoom today, a lot of people are more comfortable doing it online as opposed to having to do it in person. Although, that's not optimal for a lot of folks either. But in any event, I'm really glad that you're doing that. And I can imagine that it would be a valuable resource for a lot of folks.
yeah, so I'm excited. I'm excited, and I'll be sure to share more with you.
Yes, please do. Because, I mean, obviously I'll get it out to, the publishing and color community in particular.
Yeah.
So, we're always talking about books, right? I mean, are there any future books that you're able to talk about yet, or is it too early?
Well, I could talk about one. This is a book I co-edited and contributed to. It's actually with the Rise Together Mentorship Network,
Okay.
Which is a network founded by Reverend Dr. Lisa Rhodes out of Union Theological Seminary. So it's a devotional, and it's written by women within the network, and it's about sacred sistering.
Okay.
Sacred sistering. So that'll be out March 11th.
Oh, nice.
And I'm working on a project that I'll be posting on my blog. I'll be writing about the injustice that I see in different states in America, and also I'll be including Ghana. So those experiences will be on my blog, and I'm also putting some blogs out about my own personal experiences in spaces that I've entered, that I've been mistreated, and then spaces in which I also abused in ways. So those will be on my blog. There may be some published in maybe some online publications, and a couple of more things, but I'll wait and I'll share that.
Sure. Yeah. Tell us about those next time. Yeah. Well, that's really great. You've got so much going on, so good for you for being out there, and making things happen.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So again, the title of the new book is Small Group Workbook, The Bible in 52 Weeks for Women. And you can find it on Brittini's website, BrittiniLPalmer.com, as well as I know it's available on Amazon. What other outlets would you suggest?
Wherever books are sold. I know it's also in Target and
okay, good.
As well, yeah.
Excellent. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, again, Brittini, congratulations. So glad to hear it. And I hope the book does really well. I hope you really do well in your endeavors, beyond just this book.
Thank you so much for your support and your encouragement and all that you do for writers everywhere.
Well, it's my pleasure. And thank you so much.
Thank you.